Okay, welcome everyone. This is Give Live. This is our first Give Live of the 2021 calendar year. And we're excited to kick it off with some new friends of ours. Julia is here from Double the Donation. Thanks so much for being here.
Of
Um,
course.
and today we're going to talk a bit about corporate matching gifts and how they can benefit your nonprofit organization. To start, I'd love just to hear a little bit about you, Julia. Introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, your favorite puppy. I heard you have a puppy, uh, and anything else that's pertinent and relevant for today.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much. So yeah, like you said, I'm Julia. I am from the company Double the Donation, and we specialize in helping nonprofits and educational institutions get corporate matching gifts. And so I'm a partnership success specialist there, meaning I just work with wonderful platforms like Give WordPress, in being able to kind of help their clients get those matching gifts. And yes, I do have a puppy. I recently got a border collie puppy, so hopefully she doesn't bark during this, but no promises on that.
I'm hoping for some barks,
Yeah.
just not the big loud barks.
Oh, definitely just a quick hi from her.
Exactly. Nice. We might have some yelps from some of my kids too.
Yep.
We'll see.
Very
Um,
nice.
yeah, and I'm Matt Cromwell, everyone, from Give WP, and I'm COO there. I'm one of the authors of the plugin. Been doing this for a long time, but I still enjoy it and love it. And it's always great to talk about how nonprofits can increase their fundraising online and interact with nice folks like Julia and Double the Donation, of course. So we're going to kick this off for all of you who are either in our Facebook group or if you are here live on the Zoom call with us. Use that chat on the side and start adding your questions there right away throughout the whole thing. We will be answering all the questions at the very end. So just keep it coming, and we'll acknowledge them and make sure that we have time for them at the very end of the session. So for the most part, I have a bunch of really tough questions for Julia to answer, actually. So the first one is we want to just introduce the whole idea of what corporate matching gifts really are. So can you tell us a little bit about corporate matching gifts and what they are?
Yeah, definitely. That's a great place to start for this. I mean, corporate matching gifts are a form of corporate philanthropy, and they're actually one of the most common ones. You might have heard of different corporate philanthropy programs, maybe volunteer grants or something like that, but matching gifts are certainly the most widespread. And what they are basically is just when a large company typically has some kind of philanthropy program, they'll typically offer matching gifts to their employees, meaning if an employee donates to a nonprofit organization, that employer will then match that donation to the same organization. So, just to kind of give an example to conceptualize that, if you had a donor maybe donating to a cat rescue club and she donated $100, she could then tell her employer, maybe it's Microsoft or something like that, a large company, hey, I made this donation. Can you match it? And then they would send an additional $100 to that rescue club. So, pretty simple process and really widespread with a lot of different corporations there.
Nice, excellent. We actually at Give we do a matching program for all of our employees. We just kind of do it by manually. If they decide to donate to a local nonprofit, they send us their receipt, and then I go and I make the donation.
That's awesome.
It works out. It's nice. We kicked that off last year, and I'm excited to see our all of our employees start to be more and more generous with that. So I think they're great. I think they're helpful.
Yeah.
But can you tell us then, really at a high level, exactly how those types of things? I mean, for us, how does it work? Well, I go and make a donation. But for large organizations, how does corporate matching really work?
Yeah, good question. So I think it's a good point to kind of bring to how GiveWP kind of has that own status of matching gift programs because a lot of organizations, or excuse me, like corporations do have different ways that they run things. Typically, there's some kind of form that the donor would fill out and then be able to submit their matching gift request. And so, even though these are really common programs, a lot of donors might not know to do that, which is where it can definitely be helpful to kind of encourage matching gifts. But yeah, just having them be able to take that extra step to submit the matching gift form to their organization, it'll typically ask for something like some kind of receipt, some kind of proof of donation, nothing too crazy. And then the organization themselves is able to automate or make that donation from an individual, just depending on how that program is run.
Interesting. Nice. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine for large organizations. I mean, you already mentioned Microsoft, but like think of like these giant organizations that have, thousands of employees and really large HR departments. I can imagine that just trying to get a donation matched could be a lot of red tape. Potentially. I mean, if they tried to do it the way that I do it, I don't know that it would ever work. Um, so that, yeah, I can
Yeah.
understand that it could be complicated at those levels.
Yeah, and they certainly have a lot of different guidelines that they provide you can find for different matching gift programs. So, for
Hmm.
example, there might be minimums and maximums, and like one of the most common ratios we see, of course, is a 1-to-1. When you think of matching gifts, you typically think of it matched equally. But some corporations will like match it a 2-to-1 or even 3-to-1 ratio, just depending on the company. So,
Oh, wow.
mhm.
Nice. Excellent. Cool. So lastly, then, do you, since Double the Donation kind of manages these types of things, I'd expect that you have a lot of insight into how effective this type of fundraising is. So, do these types of corporate matching campaigns actually increase the total annual revenue for nonprofits, or is it just kind of like a nice to have kind of thing?
Yeah, definitely. So I think it can certainly increase donations. I mean, when you think of we do like a lot of research at Double the Donation to kind of see the industry and the scope of matching gifts, of course. And so I think it's a little bit over 65% of Fortune 500 companies offer these matching gift programs. So they're pretty widespread. And that's just for Fortune 500s. You think, of course, there's tons of companies that have some semblance of this program. And that leaves millions and millions of donors eligible for
Mm,
matching gift programs. And then kind of like I was saying, I mean, sometimes that's a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning if you have even a small percent of donors making large donations that are able to double those, that's huge. And then if you have maybe another segment of donors that could, match it a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 ratio, that could be a really great way to increase donations. You're definitely doubling a good percentage of any donors that work for these corporations for sure.
absolutely. Yeah. What I really love about that whole idea is that often donors, like what we experience, what we notice is that donors want to be able to give as much as they can. And when they're like, it's only $25, they feel bad about that. And that even sometimes I feel like discourages generosity. So when they know going into it that their company is going to match whatever they give, they know that it's greatly increasing the impact of what they're able to give. So,
Oh, yeah, definitely. And we even see a lot of donors will give higher base donations if they know their gift will be matched to that same point. I mean, these are people that are really connected and committed to these nonprofits. They certainly want to make a lasting impact and make, as big of a contribution they can, especially like you were saying, this is at no extra cost to themselves. So we certainly see higher base donations and more frequent donations if they know they can then submit their donation for a matching gift request and really maximize their impact through that.
yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. That's great. Folks, use up that chat space. We'd love to hear your questions. That's kind of like the big overview of what corporate matching gifts are, how they work, or how they operate. We're really excited. Late last year, we launched an integration with Double the Donation that's absolutely free. It's a free add on. You can go and install that and start working with it. And so now all Give WP users can apply to work with Double the Donation and be able to benefit from this kind of fundraising. So that's a great way to increase your fundraising. And right now, that's what we're going to move into. So I see some questions coming in. That's great. We're definitely going to get to those, but keep them coming. Um, so we're going to move into how this works now specifically. And Julia's been excellent in preparing some things that she can share on the screen here. So now that we understand all of that, what nonprofits how they can benefit from this type of fundraising, can you tell us a little bit about Double the Donation specifically and why you guys exist in the first place? What types of services and products you offer?
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to. I think kind of to speak to double donation services, I first want to mention that even though, matching gifts are really widespread, like I was just saying, well over half of these corporations have matching gift programs. There are billions of dollars donated each year through this like avenue of corporate philanthropy. We still see a lot of people missing out on matching gift funds, which is kind of where double the donation comes in, like you were just saying, to kind of close that gap that
Hmm.
I believe it's $4 to $7 billion each year are left unclaimed in matching gift totals. So even though
Wow.
this is something widespread, a lot of nonprofits are really not taking advantage of them. So yeah, that's where Double the Donation kind of comes in to try to help close that awareness gap that donors are experiencing. A lot of donors might kind of know they qualify for a matching gift program, but they're not familiar with all of the aspects. They're not familiar with how to submit a matching gift request. And so being able to kind of educate them and help nonprofits take advantage of all that money that is offered is kind of where Double the Donation comes in and makes that process a bit easier. Um, and so to do that, we offer an automated software that works with different platforms like Give, like on WordPress. And so I'll kind of pull that up now. And all that software does is it just helps donors learn more about their matching gift programs and then take actionable next steps to actually submit their requests. And so here we have, of course, a give form. So if someone were filling it out, so this is kind of the donor perspective with 360 Match Pro with the integration. So you'll see that this field here that says see if your company will match your donation. So that's the 360 Match Pro tool. So if you had this integration active, you'd be able to add that section to your donation form. And kind of what this serves to do is to just see if the donor is eligible for a matching gift program. So there could be a program, I believe Amazon is one that doesn't offer a matching gift program. So that would be helpful for you to know, where your donors are working, if this is something you can target outreach towards them, and kind of be able to map them to the correct matching gift form. So that'll be kind of the end goal is getting them to that form itself. But the first step in that is seeing where they work. So you can see this is really a natural kind of place to ask your donor where they work. So let's say they worked for something like the Home Depot. You see this kind of streamlined search tool pop down and give suggestions. It does also take into account spelling errors. So like someone had two E's here, you can see the Home Depot still comes up. Um,
Nice.
you'll also notice it says the Home Depot. So that's of course the name of the company itself that runs the matching gift program, but most people don't call the Home
Mhm.
Depot. So they would just type in something like home and still see that come up. Um, Kind of similarly, this does take into account like parent and subsidiary companies. So, say you had a donor who works for ESPN. Well, even if they knew they had a matching gift program, if they started searching for ESPN's matching gift submission form, they'd have a lot of trouble finding it because
Mm.
ESPN is owned by the Walt Disney Corporation, and that's who runs their matching gift program.
Wow.
So, this tool is definitely very useful in mapping donors to the correct matching gift form because it does take into account these sort of nuances, spelling errors, kind of variations in what donors might say and who they work for.
Mhm.
So we're going to have our donor work for the Home Depot. So she went ahead and selected that and then donate to the organization itself. So that's kind of the first step there is really finding out where the donor works. And then our next step is, of course, to get her to complete a matching gift request. So this is just a confirmation page here. And you'll notice this option that says complete the match near employer matching. So if our donor were to click that, they'd then be taken to the Home Depot grants employee login. And so this is kind of speaks to that point we were talking about earlier. There are tons of different companies that offer these matching gift programs, and they all provide maybe a slightly different way for donors to submit their matching gift request. So
Mm.
you could do a lot of research and try to connect donors to the correct matching gift form, finding out where these companies host these forms and try to get them that direct link. But an automated tool like 360 Match Pro kind of does that work for you.
Mhm.
So I think we have over 20,000 companies in our database that can map donors to the correct form. So that takes a big portion of research out for nonprofits looking to direct donors to their matching gift submission forms. So that's kind of the first step there. So ideally, if you had this donor filling out this form, they'd enter their company and then automatically just see the option to complete their matching gift request. Um,
Excellent.
but sometimes there's the event they might want to learn more about their matching gift program. So we link that there as well. So again, for the Home Depot, they don't host their matching gift guidelines on a public site. It's from within the portal they log into.
Mhm.
Um, if they did, then that's certainly what would appear when the donor wanted to learn more guidelines. It would just be a direct link to their kind of guideline page for these matching gift submission forms. So that's kind of the first aspect of the integration is having these um, options for donors to submit their matching gift request or learn more about their matching gift programs during the donation process, which is awesome because they're feeling really connected and committed to your organization at this point. This is certainly when they're feeling, most philanthropic, most connected here. And so also just having that option to complete the match on the confirmation form, we're not pulling anybody from the donation process, we're not introducing friction. They're just filling it out normally as they would, and then being able to take that option after
Yeah.
submitting their donation itself.
That's an
Um,
excellent point. We often are talking with our customers and our users about how with more power comes more responsibility. The sense that the more fields you add into a donation form, sometimes the less donations you get. So the way in which that is in there really streamlined and easy and intuitive, it means that the donation process is simple and easy and actually benefits the donor a lot. So that I really do agree with that. Like that a lot.
yeah, definitely a good point there. Just making sure that's as streamlined as possible and getting, of course, number one thing is get the donor to submit the donation.
I'm,
And then number
I'm a
two,
tech,
doubling it.
yeah, exactly. And technically speaking, the way that search is so fast, it's excellent. You said how many corporations are in that database?
A little over 20,000 is where we
Yeah,
are now.
that's
Yes,
crazy. It's
definitely.
yeah, just searching them up so quickly, and it's coming up so quickly, and even smartly. Like you searched ESPN, and Walt Disney came up immediately. Like that's some great stuff.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely want to be mapping donors to their correct form. So thank you. Yeah, we appreciate that for sure. Um, and so, kind of going off of frictionless donation forms and streamline capabilities, that company field, of course, is not mandatory. We don't want to stop anyone if they don't want to give information about their company. That's fine.
Yeah.
But we still want to give them as many touch points as they can about matching gifts because, of course, it can double their donation. So we actually do also offer email automation through 360 Match Pro. So here's an example of an email. Of course, like with any automation service, these emails are completely customizable. This is not something that 360 Match Pro, locks you into some kind of email formatting that you have to use or something like that. So for example, like this is just kind of a matching give pretty generic header and there's no logo here, but you can imagine you could make any header as long as it's the correct size to upload here. You probably already use that in a lot of your email marketing. You could add a logo, things like that. And so the value of these emails is that this is another chance for the donor to submit a matching gift request. So you'll see this link says click here, and it's that same link to the Home Depot
Hmm.
um, matching gift submission form that the donor would receive after their donation.
Hmm.
So, and if they were to not interact with that tool at all, then they would get an email that allowed them to search once more. It'd say, hey, have you heard of employer matching gifts? Do you want to search and get connected to your form? So whether they, put the Home Depot on the donation form but don't submit it after, they'd have a chance to submit an email. Or if they're not interacting at all, they still get this email follow up to be able to explore matching gifts, learn more about their programs, submit their request. Um, and these emails are pretty, they're like full of information. You can see there's kind of some guidelines here. There's additional links to forms and guidelines. There's information about volunteer grants, about contact information for the
Hmm.
company's matching gift program. So really a wealth of information here for donors to explore if they're interested in learning more. Um, and like I said, fully customizable, definitely something that different nonprofits can configure and kind of check out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's excellent. That's great to
Yeah.
see.
Definitely. So that's kind of the donor perspective of using our tools, the employer matching gifts. They'd be able to, submit their donation, then have these actionable next steps that come up. But like with anything, of course, I'm sure many nonprofits want to track these sort of insights and kind of check them out. So if you do have a subscription to 360 Match Pro, you have access to your 360 Match Pro portal. And so the portal has tons of information about matching gift insights for your organization. This one, of course, is just a demo account that we're using for the sake of demoing this. But you can see, like, my name, Julia Belcher, and I just submitted this $100 donation. I work for the Home Depot. You can check out some kind of matching gift insights there. You can see that an email was sent to me and I opened it. That was the one we just saw
Hmm.
with that direct link to the matching gift submission form. And then you can even see some emails scheduled to be sent. Um, and of course, that's all completely configurable by the nonprofit. We
Hmm.
definitely don't want to spam your donors with any kind of matching gift emails that you don't want them to have. You can decide, the cadence of these emails, the amount that go out. You can put people on different blacklists or say you have recurring donors. You can say, send no more than one email a month or something like that. So it's definitely, you have a lot of power to kind of control that marketing that comes out. Um, And then I also kind of wanted to mention the status column here. We'll have highlighted everything. That you can see all of these statuses are waiting for donor.
Hmm.
And waiting for donor just means that we know the donor is match eligible, but they've not submitted a matching gift request yet. So we're
Hmm.
still kind of waiting on an action to be taken. Like I said, this is the demo test account. So these are all going to be waiting for donor because we're not submitting matches, but that's kind of where that status comes in. So, like, let's just say that I had selected Amazon. This would come up as ineligible on, oh, that changed that one here. This would come up as ineligible. And so we also have different statuses about match initiated. So like, let's just say they, interacted with the tools and selected the match initiated button, then they'd be able to track that from within your 360 Match Pro portal. So it really does kind of track the matching gift process from start to finish when your
Hmm.
donors are interacting with those tools and kind of checking their eligibility. Um, so that's
Wow.
kind of a high level overview of what happens in the portal. Again, this is also where you would customize that automated outreach. You would add logos to different emails, decide what the emails say, everything like that, and kind of manage your account there. But that's kind of a high level overview of 360 Match Pro and how it works with GiveWP.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm like you mentioned, I'm sure that every corporation handles it slightly differently. Perhaps once they get that match initiation request, perhaps they just write a check and mail it to the organization, or perhaps they just go straight to the donation form and fill it out. There's probably lots of different ways that they execute that. But once they do that, then the nonprofit has the ability to go in and manually update those statuses. Is that right?
exactly. Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a good point to kind of speak to the benefits of automation, of being able to see, like you said, there's all different ways that you might receive matching gift payment, that you might be able to have donors submit these matching gift forms. And so it's really awesome to be able to use this automated tool like that and kind of check it without actually having to manually go in and track information. But yeah, you can update those fields yourself. And then if the donor selects, there's options in their emails that allow the donor to select, I've completed my matching gift request, which would also update it from within the portal. So yeah,
Mhm.
making sure that that's updated is a great tool to use.
Excellent. That sounds great. Awesome. Well, we have one question so far, and it's a good one. Is there any seasonality for obtaining or soliciting matching donations? Is like, for example, the end of year better than the beginning or the middle, or are these? I mean, are these available all year long? Should people be running like a specific corporate matching campaign at a specific time of year?
Mhm.
What's your experience with that kind of thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think there's kind of several questions within that. The first one being, yes, corporate matching gifts are available all year long. This is not something that you would have to tackle during a certain season. It's something that could constantly be running and be able to, receive matching gift requests or submissions all year long. Um, with that being said, a lot of companies might operate based on the tax season or based on their own kind of quarterly updates. So there can be some slight discrepancies between when receiving matching gift funds, like maybe some submit them all at the end of the month, whereas others it's more immediate, maybe depending on the size of the company or how that program functions. And then I think also another important point to add, you mentioned kind of like end of year. So, of course, if you have a big giving season, I know a lot of people that is end of year or Giving Tuesday or whatever else, it's definitely something that I would recommend pushing during that time just because you're probably getting higher base donations, kind of a philanthropic time of the year. And so you'll want to be doubling those, especially, and then you're probably getting more donations. So, kind of being able to cast your net really wide for those philanthropic times of year and being able to get those donations doubled is a great idea. But
Mhm.
they are offered year round. It's not something that's limited to one particular time of the year.
Yeah, for sure. So I have kind of a hypothetical for you.
Yeah.
I am on a board of a nonprofit organization called San Diego Refugee Tutoring, and we started as a volunteer organization only. So at this time, we have over 600 volunteers who are all helping at different times of the year to
Wonderful.
tutor inner city kids. And It's great. It's excellent. It's awesome. I have no idea who all of those volunteers work for, and whether or not there is corporate matching possibilities there. how does a nonprofit like Refugee Tutoring go about figuring that out? Is that something that you help them with? What's that process like?
Yeah, certainly. So in terms of figuring out the where they actually work, using a tool like that search bar on the donation form is a great place. And then also, if you're a 360 Match Pro client, you actually have the ability to embed that tool on your website as well. So if you wanted a section on your website that had like maybe more ways to give or something like that, you could be able to have your volunteers type in the name of their employer and kind of see their matching gift options.
Hmm.
And then, of course, if they're actually making the donations, that information is stored in 360 Match Pro. So you would have a record of where all of those volunteers work. Um, and since bringing up volunteers too, I think it'd be kind of cool to note that 360 Match Pro, a main focus of it, of course, is matching gifts. But you probably saw in that email, it does include a volunteer grant section.
Hmm.
So a less common form of corporate philanthropy, but still definitely something you could earn money off of. That a lot of companies will quantify volunteer hours with financial donations. And so if you maybe had someone that was um, making donations and then also volunteering for your organization, they could even increase their corporate philanthropy through that avenue.
Hmm.
So that's also something that 360 Match Pro kind of provides guidance on and access to.
Hmm. Yeah, that's an excellent point. That is also a benefit that we offer our employees, that if they feel as if they can't give financially, we definitely, if they are giving of their time outside of their work time to an organization, we just ask them to give us some sort of verification of that time, and then we'll match that with a like an hourly rate.
Yeah.
Or we also allow them to say, I want to donate 6 hours of my time to this organization during the workday, and then we basically call that volunteer paid time off.
Hmm. That's
So
awesome.
there are ways that I think I'd love to start seeing small corporations like ourselves and other larger ones doing that kind of thing as well. But it sounds like there are the big ones are already on the way there, so from what you're saying. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. What about in terms of if it so like refugee tutoring, for example, we don't know if corporate matching would be a big boost for us or
Mm,
not, and we want to figure that out. So we come to you and we're like, maybe this is good for us, or maybe it's just icing on the cake, or maybe it's going to be a giant boom. We don't know. Are there ways that you're able to help resource that kind of question and help us figure that out together?
definitely. So double the donation is, I think I mentioned this earlier too, just really into a research and an educational hub for different organizations to go to. So not only could you check out our website and look into a lot of our educational resources, which might include, which industries have the best matching gift program. So maybe a lot of your donors work for, or a lot of your volunteers work in one industry, or maybe you filter that based on location. You could certainly find information there. And then when you speak to our team about our actual services, if as you're getting kind of set up with 360 Match Pro, we do price our annual subscriptions based on ROI. So we certainly talk to your team about, what matching gifts you're getting already, how much donations you're getting already, and being able to kind of work with you and assess if that's something that would be beneficial to your organization. I will say too that most nonprofits qualify for a lot more matching gifts than they realize. Kind of
Mhm.
like I was mentioning before, there's billions of dollars that are going unclaimed each year. Um, and so really, a lot of these donors, as long as they're working for corporations or even sometimes smaller companies, I know Double the Donation, of course, obviously offers a matching gift program, but it's not, this Fortune 500 company. So I think they're kind of more widespread than most nonprofits think. And talking to our team or viewing our research kind of in our educational hub online would definitely show that as well and help you kind of assess where your organization falls there.
Excellent. That sounds good. Yeah, I mean, I think from my experience with a lot of different nonprofit organizations, I don't think that this type of thing comes on their radar much. I think when they think of corporate giving, they think of, Microsoft just writing them a big old fat check, not leveraging the generosity of the employees as much. So
Definitely.
it sounds like a big opportunity that a lot of folks should be taking advantage of for sure.
Yeah, certainly.
Well, that's all of our questions for today. Do you have any other tips or resources, or where we could find you? Anything you want to sign off with?
Yeah, definitely. So if you actually check out the free add-on on Give's website, here I can pull that up right here. You'll be able to get in touch with our team. It's totally free to download and kind of check out. and learn more information on. And then you can sign on with our team to get your subscription going and get that kind of integrated on your forms as well. So definitely log on to there and check out our tools and kind of talk to our team to learn more.
Excellent. Let me just paste that link for everybody here. This is, oops, it's not wanting to paste for some
I
reason.
can grab it too. If you
It's wanting to copy some other thing.
want.
Hmm, that's fun.
All right, I just put it in the chat here. Did that
Oh,
go to
that went to
everyone?
me.
Oh, of course. The joy of all virtual
Yeah.
things like this. Here we go. How about that?
Yay.
Yay.
That's where it's at. Thank you all so much for being with us today and for attending Give Live. We will have another Give Live next month that'll be exciting. So watch our blog and all of our social channels about for information on that. You could find us online at Twitter at GiveWP. Find us online at givewp.com. And of course, you could find Double the Donation at doublethedonation.com as well. Thank you again so much for being here, Julia, and everyone else. Be safe. Have a happy 2021.
Yep. Thanks so much for having me. Bye, everyone.
Bye.